everyone, and welcome to my second unhaul of this channel. So the last unhaul that I did wasn't really that successful because not a lot of people ended up taking the books that I unhauled. When I do unhauls, I usually end up giving the books to people that I know. But not many of them were picked up, and I feel that now these books, if they don't get picked up in the next month or two, I'm just going to recycle them they recycle the ARCs and donate the physical or finished copies to Goodwill because my bookshelf is there's just too many books in my bookshelf, and a lot of these I'm never gonna read or even I'm interested in buying a finished copy of. So yeah, so tomorrow, I don't know when I'm uploading this, but from today, tomorrow, I'm meeting up with a couple of book bloggers and we're exchanging a lot of these books. So I'll mention the books that are already claimed, and if you guys do know me personally and live close to me or we've met before, let me know and then we can maybe claim some of those books for you. So let's get started. I have a small, sizable number of finished copies that I want to get rid of. The first is Captives by Jill Williamson. There's also Carrier of the Mark by Lee Fallon. I'll only mention the ones... No, I won't mention why I don't want all of them because there are too many. But this one, I read half of it and it was pretty much a Twilight ripoff and I did not like it, so I stopped reading it. Some Quiet Place by Kelsey Sutton. I really didn't like the story. Unlocked by Ryan G. Van Cleve. I am not a fan of verse books, and especially with this synopsis, I just don't think I'll ever read it. Then there's Above by Lee Bobbitt. My sister read this and really didn't like it, and I am not interested in reading it. Earth Girl by Janet Edwards. I read this and I really disliked it, so even though it has a beautiful cover, I'm not interested. The last finished book was a duplicate, and it is Lauren Conrad's LA Candy. Now moving on to the ARCs. The first is Gated by Amy Christine Parker. I read this, I gave it 3 stars. I will never reread this book and I will never buy a finished copy of it, so why keep it? The Walled City by Ryan Graden, same as Gated. Read this, 3 stars, not interested in buying a finished copy or rereading. The Dark World by Carolyn Schultz. I really didn't like this book. I'm not a big hardcore paranormal fan, and this is a very hardcore paranormal book. Drain You by M. Beth Bloom, another paranormal book I'm not interested in. You Only Live Once by Birdie Clark. My sister didn't like this book, even though it's the kind of book that you choose the path of your story, and this has already been claimed. This Side of Salvation by Jerry Smith Reddy. I actually just recently got this book from another book blogger, but she said it's heavy on the religion and I'm not interested in that. Some Boys by Patti Blunt. You guys know how I feel about this book and how overly sexist this whole book is. So, and it has already been claimed. Midnight Thief by Olivia Blackbird. I don't understand this book, whether it's supposed to be paranormal or fantasy or God knows what. So this has already been claimed though. Burning by Elena K. Arnold. This book made me suffocate. I did not like the contemporary story at all of this book. 17 First Kisses by Rachel Allen. Another book that had potential, but I just didn't like the story. Salt and Storm by Kendall Culper. I love this cover, but I don't like the book. It's supposed to be a witchy book, but there's barely any witchcraft and witchery going on. Etiquette and Espionage by Gail Carriger. This is book 1 in her Finishing School series. This is more of a middle grade-ish series, and when I requested this, I did not think it was middle grade, so when I read this, I wasn't that interested, even though Gail Carriger is known to be a really good author, and I do like the concept and idea of this book. In the After by Demetria Lunetta. This is a zombie-ish book. The first half of it was so good, and then the last half was like, so not really interested in reading the sequel. It's a duology too though. Unremembered by Jessica Brody, a book where the girl's mind is wiped clean and the love is unchanged, and it just seems overly dramatic. I have not read this book, but my sister did and thought it was okay. Scorched by Mary Mancusi, right? Mancusi. My sister read this, didn't like it. It's told from 3 different POVs. I'm not a big fan of that. And I don't think I'll ever be picking this up. Wake by Amanda Hawking. You guys know I have a hate relationship with mermaid books. The Lost Prince by Julie Kagawa. I love Julie Kagawa's The Immortal Rules or the Blood of Eden trilogy. It is amazing. But I read her first book in this series, The Iron King, which I have all the way up there, because up there is the discarded unliked books. And I really did not like it. I have the first 2. I'm not planning on reading the second. and I'm not planning on ever picking this one up. Then there's Pawn by Amy Carter. This book had so much potential, but it was so cliche and lame and boring. The only interesting part was the ending and how shocking it was, but it's not going to make me want to read the sequel. Half-Lives by Sarah Grant. This book is a bit weird, to be honest. I don't even know how to explain it, but I wasn't a big fan. Icons by Margaret Stoll, the first book in her whatever power thing series. I thought this book had an identity crisis, to be honest. Golden Girl by Sarah Zettel. This is the second book in the American Fairy trilogy. I don't own the first one. I don't like fairy books, so I'm not planning on buying it, so what's the point of keeping this? Another sequel, Raven Flight by Juliet Mary Lear. She's a very known fantasy writer, and this is the second book in her Shadowfell novel. The first one is this one, if you can see. I am not planning on picking this one up, so what's the point of keeping it? A lot of these books were unsolicited, that's why. The last book in this whole unhaul is Before My Eyes by Carolyn Bach. This book is apparently like contemporary. My sister read this, said it was pretty pointless until the last like 20 pages when everything went down, so I am not interested in reading this and she's not interested in rereading it or anything like that, so that's why we're giving this away. So these are some of the books that I am giving away. So, or me and Farah, because some of these are Farah's books. Again, if you guys know me personally, let me know. And only if you know me personally. I do not mail books, because mailing is really expensive here in Canada. And if you guys do know me personally, let me know and tell me which books you guys want. And we can meet up or something. And that is it. I hope you guys have a nice day. Bye.